Today we're going to be focusing on some word problems and we are going to be writing equations. So the first main point, what are some steps to translate words into expressions or words into equations? We have 3 different steps here for you. Step 1, define the variables. Step 2, underline important information. Underline important information and keywords. Step 3, once we've underlined the important information, we're going to translate that information into a mathematical formula. So pause the video, write down these steps, because we're going to use these steps throughout the video. So step 3, I said we're going to translate the words into mathematical equations. So this slide shows some of the key words for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I need you to write these words down into your notes, please. So for addition, you'll see combined, or the sum of, or more than. For subtraction, the ones that you might see are less than, or take away. For multiplication, the important ones could be product. Product is for multiplication, or times. In division, they might say half, where you just have to divide it by 2. The quotient is important when it comes to division, or an average, where you add them up and you divide by the number that there are. So here's our first example. Jeremy has 13 baseball cards, which is 7 more than 3 times the number M that Michael has. So we just need to set up an equation. First step, define the variable. Well, here's our variable right here. We're going to be using M. So what does M equal? M equals the number of cards Michael has. Now, second step, go back through and underline the important information that we have. So Jeremy has 13 baseball cards, which is 7 more than 3 times the number. So, what are some of the important words that we need to translate from the previous slide? We know the word is. Is another word for equals. We had more than. More than is another word for addition. Times was another word for multiplication. So now let's start. All we have to do is just work through this slowly. Jeremy has 13 baseball cards. Alright, so let's write that down. Jeremy has 13 cards. Which is, remember, is equal sign. So write that down. 7, write the word, number 7. More than, we said more than is plus. Write that down. 3. Times, I'm just going to use the dot for multiplication, the number M Michael has. So now we have our mathematical equation. 13 is equal to 7 plus 3 times M. Because that's all that we had to do. Go through line by line. 13 is equal sign 7 plus, which is more than, 3 times, which is the multiplication, the number. So all that we would need is 13 is equal to 7 plus 3m. Then if we wanted to, we could just solve for m by subtracting 7 from both sides. So now it's your turn. I want you to pause the video and unpause the video when you're ready to see what I have done. Alright, so we have that Hannah spent $95 for clothes. This is $15 more than 4 times the amount Ashley spent on school supplies. So we need to figure out what the variable is. We can put any letter or number that we want. So it looks like we want to figure out how much Ashley spent on school supplies. So I'm just going to use the letter S because I want to see if that is equal to the money Ashley spent on school supplies. So, second step, go through and underline the important information. So, Hannah spent $95 for clothes. This is $15 more than 4 times the amount and that Ashley spent on school supplies. So let's look through our important buzzwords that we have. We have is, which is the same as equal to, $15 more than, which is the same as addition, 4 times, which is the same as multiplication, the amount that Ashley spent on school supplies. So remember, what is the amount that Ashley spent on school supplies? Isn't that the exact same thing that we made our variable? So the amount that Ashley spent on school supplies, we can rewrite that as an S. So now let's go through, write our equation. So Hannah spent $95 for clothes. All right, so we got 95. This is equal sign $15 more than, which is plus, 4 times, which is multiply, the amount that Ashley spent on school supplies. Remember, so that's our variable S. So we're going to multiply it by S. So our equation is 95 is equal to 15 plus 4 times S. If we want to solve for S, all that we would have to do is subtract $15 from 95, which is 80, and all that we have left is 4 times S. Then we would divide by 4, divide by 4. So 80 divided by 4 is equal to 20. So S is equal to $20. So Ashley spent $20 while Hannah spent $95. This is the important information that I just want to focus on now. Have another example. Andrew's father was 29 years old when Andrew was born. This year, the sum of the ages is 53. Find their ages. So now we have to figure out what 2 ages are. For ages, we just have to define the variable. So x, we're going to say, is equal to Andrew's age. if x is equal to Andrew's age, what would be Andrew's father age? So we know that when when Andrew was born, his father was 29. So if what we would want to do, we would want to take Andrew's age plus 29. So it'd be x plus 29 is equal to Andrew's father's age. So now let's go through and underline the important information. So Andrew's father was 29 years old when Andrew was born. So he was 29 years old when Andrew was born. This year, the sum of their ages is 53. So now we have to find their ages. So, the important part that we need. We know that with this year, the sum of their ages is 53. What do we know that the sum means? Sum means we're going to be adding. And their ages is, what does is mean? Is means equal to, and it's going to be 53. So, what is the sum of their ages? So what's Andrew's age? Andrew's age is x. Sum means we're going to add. We're going to be adding Andrew's age plus Andrew's father's age. So we're adding x plus 29. Is, which is equal to 53. Now all that we have to do is solve for x. So we can combine this x, 1x and 1x. These can be combined to equal 2 x's, and then it's plus 29 is equal to 53. So from here we can subtract 29. So 53 minus 29 is equal to 24. And all we have left is 2x. So 2 times what is equal to 24? So x is equal to 12. So from here, what does this actually mean? X is equal to 12. What did we have in our variables? X is equal to Andrew's age. So what do we know Andrew's age is? Andrew's age is, he's 12 years old. Because this x, all we have to do is plug in this 12 for this x. Now how old is Andrew's father? Remember, Andrew's father is x plus 29. So all we have to do, take this 12, plug it up here into x. So what is 12 plus 29? 12 plus 29 is equal to 41. So Andrew is 12, Andrew's father is 41. Alright, so now it's your turn. Pause the video, unpause the video when you're ready to see what I've done. Okay, so let's remember a little bit back of what we did on the previous example with this one. So, the Perry family took a vacation that covered 1,356 miles. The return trip was 284 miles, shorter than the first part of the trip. How long was the return trip? So, first thing, define our variable. Let's just use the variable y. So what is y equal to? What are we trying to find? We're trying to find the return trip. So our y is going to be equal to the first part of the trip. So what is equal to the second part of the trip? So the second part of the trip is, or the return trip. So we're trying to figure out that the return trip was 284 miles shorter than the first part of the trip. So if we need 284 miles shorter than, this shorter than means we're going to be doing some subtraction. So the return trip is going to be y minus 284. Next part, let's go through and underline the important parts. So the Perry family, we took a vacation that covered 1,356 miles. The return trip was 284 miles shorter than the first part of the trip. How long was the return trip? So, what is our total distance? Our total distance was 1,356 miles. So what is our total trip? Our total trip is the first part plus the second part. So we would have to add y, because that's the first part, plus y minus 284, because that's the second part. Now if we combine y and y, that is equal to 2y minus 284 Now we need to solve for y. So let's move this 284 over to the left side. So the opposite of subtract 284 is to add 284 to both sides. So those cancel out. When we do that, we get 1,640. And all I have left on the right side is 2y. Now, to get y by itself, divide by 2. And y is equal to 820. But this isn't our final answer. I want to know how long the return trip was. So our return trip is y minus 284. So what is our y? Our y is 820. So all we have to do is plug that in. So we would have 820 minus 284, and that is equal to 536. So our return trip took 536 miles. So just a quick little review. Remember, we have our 3 steps when we're working with word problems. Number 1, find the variables. Number 2, underline our important information. And number 3, translate the words into the expression.